In this video, we'll cover modules. So in terms of code organization, currently all of our code is in a single file. And for real-time projects, we'd like to place our code into separate files. So as one example here, I could have this driver, and we'd like to make use of files for customer, product, and account. And we need some way to kind of include or import those files into our application. And so TypeScript supports the concept of modules. So a module can export classes, functions, and variables, and another file can import these classes, functions, and variables from a given module. All right, so let's work through this with an example. So we'll have this driver file, and we want to make use of this customer file. So this customer.ts is going to export the customer class, and then the driver is going to import the customer class from that file. Alrighty, so let's kind of look at a code example here. So here's our file customer.ts. So this defines our class customer. And then note here, we're going to export this class. So when you export a given class or entity, then that makes it available for someone else to possibly import. All right, so I'll just kind of swing this over to the right-hand side. So here's our driver file, kind of like our main file. So notice here on the first line, we're going to do an import. So we're going to import customer. So we're importing the customer class. And where are we importing it from? Well, we're going to import it from /customer. So here it's based on the file name of where that class is defined, but you don't give the .ts. You simply give the actual name of the file itself without the extension. And in this example, we're assuming that this driver.ts and customer.ts are in the same directory. So that's why I make use of the /customer, meaning in the same directory. However, if they're in different directories, then you can simply give a relative directory path. So you could, if it's in a subdirectory, sub1, sub2, sub3, you simply access those different subdirectories. You can also use a // if you need to kind of move up one or two directories and then go to the actual file. But in this example here, driver.ts and customer.ts are in the same directory. And that's basically it. So on the right-hand side, we export the class. And then on the left-hand side, we import the class from a given file. All right. So in the next section here, we'll jump into our IDE and we'll write this code and we'll test it out. Okay, so let's go ahead and move in here. Let me zoom in for a second and we'll do the normal copy paste on the project. And I'll just rename it as 05 modules. And then let's go ahead and open up that customer.ts file. Let me zoom out a bit. And what I'd like to do on this file is at the bottom, I want to remove some extra code. So this is the code at the bottom where we would create the instance and do all the logging stuff. We're going to move this to a separate file. So let's go ahead and cut this code. And then in my 05 modules directory, I want to create a new file. And I'll call it driver.ts, kind of like our main application. And we could give any name that we wanted to here, but I'll just call it driver. And then in this driver file, I'll go ahead and paste in that code that I copied from the previous file. Okay, good. That looks great. But you'll notice that there's one compilation error here. If you kind of hover over customer, it says cannot find customer. So it's like, well, who is this customer guy? They're trying to guess, but their guess is incorrect. We somehow need to import that given customer, but we actually need to go to customer.ts because the first thing we have to do is export the customer. So use the export keyword. All right. So now this customer class has been exported and now it's available for someone else to import. So now in my driver, I can go ahead and add a new line here to actually import the class. So I do an import, the actual class, and then I tell it where I'm going to import it from. And I do the ./customer. And remember, we give the name of the file without the extension. And then here they're both in the same directory. So I'll simply make use of ./customer. And then notice here, our compilation error goes away. So this looks pretty good. All right, so let's go ahead and open up a new terminal window and test this out. So I'll move into the appropriate directory here, O4 classes/O5 modules. And then do a compile. That's good. And now do a run, and I get the desired output. So now this works out fine. So notice here, I'm running the driver program. So it's a separate file from customer, but we're able to import that customer, create an instance of it, and then access the data accordingly. So this is great. So we're able to make use of modules here and separate our code into separate files. Good job.